POC Network here with another unboxing, this time coming from the company Phenyx Pro. And this is the Phenyx Pro PTU-X. It is a plug-in XLR UHF wireless transmitter and receiver system in a small, tiny little package. And what that means is that you can take any wired microphone and turn it wireless. That includes regular handhelds that are just typical dynamic microphones that don't really need much, as well as some of those hungrier microphones like large diaphragm condenser microphones, or just condenser microphones. But you can take anything and make it go wireless with this fun little device here, which is the Phenyx Pro PTU-X. And what we're going to do today is we're going to open this up, we're going to talk about it and show you what it looks like and put it through a few steps to see what it sounds like, how well it holds up to a few microphones, because duh, have to do that. So first, going over some of the specs that this has to offer, it is, again, it's a wireless transmitter and receiver system that allows you to take any microphone and turn it wireless. And by doing so, in order to do that, it uses UHF. For RF frequency transmission, which is within a 500 megahertz spectrum, keeping it below the bad 600 range. And within the typical range, you find a lot of wireless microphones that you see both in the studio or, well, at least in our studio, or other environments, mobile and so on. It gives you up to 16 frequencies to pick from, so if you are starting to take hits on one of them, you can easily switch to a different frequency and try to avoid any kind of wireless traffic that's nearby that might be interfering. And it's good for up to 100 feet, or around 30 meters. So 100 feet, and that's line of sight, and pretty much in a perfect scenario where you have nothing blocking you, so no walls or any other objects that might impede upon that range, causing it to go down. So if you're using this inside, and you are, like, let's say the receiver's in one room and the transmitter's in the other room, you're not going to get a full 100 feet because any walls or any other objects in between are going to impede upon that range and reduce that. And how far it reduces, it depends on the actual material of those walls and so forth. So you might see that it drops to 60 feet or even 30 feet, depending on your environment. So, the point is that it's good up to 100 feet, in best case scenario, when you're outside or just in a giant room with nothing blocking the receiver or in between the receiver and the transmitter. It offers over 100 decibels in dynamic range, as well as 98 decibels signal to noise ratio, keeping it as clean as possible, while also giving you as much range as possible so you're picking everything up from that wonderful microphone that you have it connected to. It can be switched between mic or line level and offers, and here's the magic, 48 volt phantom power. And that's how it's able to pair up with just about any microphone, including those such as condensers that require phantom power. So this can pull that off. It also has a locking knob to make sure that it remains connected to the microphone, so there's no uh-ohs during use, in case you're kind of, you motion with your hands a lot while holding the microphone. You don't want that. And so that helps keep things nice and sturdy. And it has a 10,000 mAh battery inside, which is a lot for how small it is. And that gives you up to 7 hours of use on a single charge. So that should get you through any typical day without any troubles. And all of this for $99.99. This is what really makes it special, because there are solutions like this out there. You have a number of these to choose from, but not all of them are $99.99. So again, that's what makes this interesting. It's affordable. The average Joe can buy one of these and add that to their inventory so they can make use of something like this. And that's a pretty big deal. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the next step, where we're going to take a look at what it looks like inside, what it comes with, and then we'll move on to a demonstration. So the first thing you come across is a sticker, so you can just kind of put some swag on your Pelican case or anything else you want to brag about owning a Phenyx Pro item on. You have a small, just a really basic felt drawstring bag here for storing the devices in here on the go if you so choose. Personally, I would put it into a Pelican with custom foam or something, or even keep it in the foam that's in here. You can keep it in the box even, but if you want it out, you can just keep it in foam, throw the foam in your Pelican box or something, and that's going to give you a little bit more protection than a typical drawstring bag will. And you have some instructions here, which is just going to walk you through using it. Now, You're probably just going to need this for understanding the button presses. Yep, for long press, for just changing frequencies. You have some pretty basic options here, which is pretty cool when it comes to button selection. By basic, I mean it's user-friendly. You're not going to have a million buttons on this thing that you need to learn how to use. So it seems like it's pretty straightforward in terms of syncing the two units together, enabling phantom power, or changing the channel. Then you have a USB cable, of course, because you got to charge them. And this USB cable is a USB-C to USB, let's see, it looks like, actually it's a USB-A to 2 USB-Cs. Now that's something I like to see because that kind of keeps your cable mess down so you don't have a bunch of cables running all over the place or having to find plugs for 2 USB ports. It's only 2, so it's not like it's a big deal, but every little detail counts. But you have a USB-C cable for charging it. And then you have the actual units tucked away in plastic to protect them from scratches. So this is it. This is obviously the receiver, and this is the transmitter. I can tell because it has a 48-volt phantom power button on there, as well as a mic line switch. And obviously because also gender. This has the female end, which plugs into the bottom of the microphone, where this has the male end, which goes to your camera and or recording deck or wherever you're trying to capture this content with. The weight of it is pretty, I'd say, basic. If you consider the weight of a wireless microphone, add in the weight of a wired microphone to this, and you pretty much even out. And this is, like I said, very simple. I see nothing really to complain about here. This is nice. So it weighs nice, looks nice. It's not going to look tacky on camera. And again, it's incredibly user-friendly here. So you have some basic wordage here. You got their logo and the unit number, and it also says transmitter. And on this side, you have the USB port for charging it. On the front, you have a small LCD display that's going to give you your channel that you're on, so you know what channel you're on. And then you have your power button and 48-volt button, as well as the mic line switch. You can see that there's 2 little designations up here. It says 48 volts and BAT, B-A-T-T, and that shows you that you have status lights here to show you what your status is on that front. Then you have the collar here, which is the locking design to help lock it into place so it gives it a nice snug fit, while at the same time giving you a little bit of extra length in the XLR, the female XLR end, in case you have a deeper XLR port on your microphone, or if it's harder to get to, which I might have an example of that in just a moment. But once you have it on, you just kind of just rotate that until it locks nice and tight up against the unit so it's not wiggling around or becoming loose in any way. And on this one, this is your receiver. It's pretty much the same design outside of the different gender, and this one doesn't have a locking neck because you shouldn't need that. You have your power button here, you have your channel, and then you have your sync. So that's pretty straightforward. So you can, these should come already synced together, I would assume. But if not, you'd press and hold to trigger syncing, I believe, to make sure I'm saying that correctly. Let's look at the instructions. It also looks like that sync button is a confirmation button as well, because when you're pressing the channel button to change channels on it, you have to press the sync button to confirm on the receiver. And yep, it looks like it's just the sync button to trigger it, so it's going to be similar to just a typical wireless microphone. It's like some of the mics we have here. We have some Axient and some others from Shure, as well as Sennheiser. And all you have to do is hit sync on the receiver and hold the microphone up to it, and the little IR right there, once they see each other, it'll sync. So it looks like it's the same case with these as well. So it's pretty straightforward. So they look nice, they feel nice. I mean, can't really go wrong with this as long as it works. So let's go ahead and hook the receiver up and see what it sounds like. Now you are listening to the Shure SM58 microphone, one of the most common microphones that you find in the everything production industry. Enough to say that this microphone is an industry standard, which is why even we have a number of these in the studio. But this is now connected to the Phenyx Pro. Ta-da! Right here, connected right to the bottom of it, and it is allowing us to transmit this SM58 microphone wirelessly to our camera guy. Pretty cool, huh? So this is just a regular dynamic microphone, doesn't need phantom power or anything fancy. It just needs XLR. and it's working just fine. It's working crisp and clear. I'd say so far we're doing pretty good. Now what I did is I connected it to the bottom of the microphone right here. I slid it into place, and then I tightened the collar so it's nice and tight against the microphone. There is absolutely no way of disconnecting this from the mic. I mean, there is. I mean, you throw it at the ground, but there is no the actual push button mechanism to be able to detach an XLR. That's kind of hidden by the collar, so you can't remove this by accident. So you can confidently hand this to somebody and assume that they're not going to mess things up, hopefully, as long as they don't start pressing buttons on it. But this is what it sounds like with an SM58 microphone plugged into it going to the camera. Now what we're going to do is we're going to unplug it and put in something else, something better, something with a deeper socket, because it's in a spider mount. So what if you wanted to make use of a large diaphragm condenser microphone? Now this requires phantom power. This one's kind of a hefty one. In fact, this is the Sterling Audio. Can't remember. I think it's the ST55. Yes, the ST55. Man, I guess I have a better memory than I thought. Haven't seen this guy in a little while, but this is the Sterling Audio ST55 microphone, a popular one for those who like nice deep lows. If you want to have that dramatic impact on, say, podcasts or something, this is a pretty cool microphone. And what we're going to do is we're going to unplug it from our transmitter from the SM58, and we're going to plug it into the Sterling Audio ST55 and see if it still works. So there we go. To enable phantom power, you just simply press and hold the phantom power button down, and voila, your large diaphragm condenser microphone is now connected. I'm getting the signal from our camera guy that it's a little hot, so if I get a little bit too close, I might clip. So I'm going to try to keep my voice down here. But for this, we had to yell into, because the dynamic microphone, again, doesn't have any phantom power or anything like that. You have to really give it some volume or at least some post-amplification to really get the most out of that microphone. It doesn't require much to get audio out of this thing when it comes to just sheer power. You plug it into anything, but you do need post-amplification. Where a phantom-powered microphone typically is a lot more sensitive, you're going to get a lot more volume right off the bat. But it's also going to mean that you're going to get a lot more volume out of it. But the purpose of this is obvious, to really get the details in somebody's voice or to get a desired effect. Like I said, this one is a little bit more of a warmer profile for a large diaphragm condenser microphone, but that's really good for certain voices that are really looking for that dramatic impact, which I keep saying because that's what it's for. It's a really cool microphone. Podcasts, vocals, even picking up guitars and other instruments where a condenser microphone could benefit from such a thing. And it is a very good microphone and affordable microphone for doing that. Of course, I don't think you can get the ST55 anymore. Don't know. I think this one's probably 15 years old, maybe more. Who knows? It's a good microphone though. So I guess we're doing a little drop on a microphone here. Apparently, Sterling Audio. Go figure. If you never heard of the name before, go check them out. But the Phenyx Pro is, at least the Phenyx Pro PTU-X is really doing a good job on this. Our camera guy's giving it a thumbs up. Condenser microphones are incredibly sensitive. In the studio here, we actually have a very well-controlled room, acoustically speaking. For condenser microphones, because the studio here is a little bit bright for condensers. It's really made for smaller omnidirectional and or directional lav microphones and or shotgun microphones that are very specific into a direction, like a supercardioid shotgun microphone. So when it comes to these, you're going to pick up a lot more things. So that's something to keep in mind when you're using something like this for a condenser microphone, is that you also get the pros and the cons that come with that microphone. So if you're looking to do something, let's say in a live environment, such as a convention floor or something, doing interviews, and for some reason you just want to goof around with a really cool condenser microphone, just keep in mind that if you have no control over the acoustics of your environment, so you have a lot of crowd noise, people walking by or anything like that, you're going to hear it, because the Phenyx Pro PTU-X should be able to bring out everything out of that microphone and deliver it to your source of recording. So just keep that in mind. But this is it. This is the Phenyx Pro PTU-X plug-on XLR UHF wireless transmitter and receiver system for microphones of any kind that take an XLR connection. So that means dynamic, to condensers and anything else that needs phantom power or doesn't need phantom power, you can pair that with the Phenyx Pro PTU-X and really tap into that microphone of choice, giving you the ability to go wired or wireless anytime you choose, as long as you have battery life. Again, you have a 10,000 mAh battery. It's good up to 7 hours, giving you plenty of charge for any given shoot or record time, whatever you're using it for. That'll be for podcasts, an interview, or just some kind of remote setup. Whatever the case is, you can pull it off with this within a 7-hour window. You should be able to. And if you can't, well then, buy two. They're only $99. So we're going to have some more information in the description, including the link on where you can find this. We're going to have a story at POCnetwork.net later on where we're going to talk about all the ins and outs of what we like or do not like about the wireless transmission system from Phenyx Pro. Again, that's going to be at POCnetwork.net, as well as, in the description, you'll find a link for that. And again, links to where you can actually buy one of these systems. So there you have it. If you liked what you've seen here, don't forget to subscribe below and follow us. And tick the like button on this video to let us know you liked this specific video so that all of our nerdy analytic guys can know that, we're doing a good job. And of course, take advantage of that comment system below to chat amongst each other or with us or even the manufacturer just in case they're listening, watching. You never know. So definitely make use of that comment section. And as always, we thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time. If you want to stay on top of all the latest and greatest, and or at least the gadgets we cover, remember to subscribe right here. Subscription button. Click it. You're going to want to. There's lots of videos, interviews, previews, all sorts of stuff. Button. Click it.